Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to today's session of Every Mark Matters with Mr. McDonald. Today we are having a look at Edexcel History, Paper 1, Medicine Through Time. And our question of the day, written in my really ugly handwriting, is: the printing press and the Royal Society had the biggest impact on the development and spread of medical knowledge during the Renaissance. So, let's begin by taking apart the three components of these exam questions to really decipher and decode what is the actual question looking for us to do. Okay, so let's begin by having a little look at the command phrase. Our command phrase for this question is: how far do you agree? In essence, it is asking you to produce an argument. And most of all, requires your opinion. Okay. The next component I want us to have a little look at is our focus. So what is the focus of this question? So focus, that refers to your subject knowledge. So what is it asking? What is it assessing your level of knowledge about? All right. So I would argue that it is the printing press and Royal Society and the spread of medical knowledge during the Renaissance. So if we're thinking about medical knowledge, what do we know about medical knowledge in the Renaissance and how it developed? Okay, so let me just think about this here. So let's just do, and we're just going to do PP and RS. All right, so you need to write about that. Okay, so just to clarify, printing press is PP and Royal Society is RS. So you need to annotate what they mean. Okay, then you need to think of other things or events or discoveries that take place during the Renaissance. Okay, so press pause now to have a bit of a think about what you know about medical knowledge, the development and spread of medical knowledge during the Renaissance. Press pause, and I'll see you shortly. Okay, right, welcome back. Right, let's start with printing press and RS because we have to speak about them. Right, so the printing press, remember, so I'm just going to put PP up here just so I get my facts in the right place. So it's created in 1440. Alright, it printed books, obviously. Alright, no need for handwritten copies. Alright, the RS, the Royal Society, that's created in 1660. Alright, and they meet to discuss scientific thinking or scientific discoveries / theories. Alright? Okay, right. So we've got knowledge that's relevant to that. Obviously, you can see how these two things would have an impact on the development and spread of medical knowledge during the Renaissance. Right. Again, really important. The Renaissance would just do not forget that is 1500 to 1700. So don't forget that. So what other discoveries were made during this period? Well, you've got Vesalius. You have got William Harvey. You've got, if you want to include in, Sydenham. And you might want to pause and annotate these three men with what discoveries they made. A massive event that took place in the Renaissance that really influences our course is the Reformation. Obviously, that meaning the collapse of the Catholic Church. And remember, we have this split. What that means is we have Catholic versus Protestants. Okay, so we have that there. So what we've done is we've looked at the command phrase, we've looked at the focus of the question. Okay, let's have a little look at the second order concept. All right, so our second order concept we're thinking about this this afternoon for me. Second order concept is, I'm going to add in here, is the biggest impact. And basically that is what's called significance. If I can squeeze it on. Alright? Significance basically just means importance. Alright? So what you can do is you can use phrases like this was important because. Alright, nice and easy. Okay, right. Now, let's think about, firstly, what are you writing? You know, so this is a 16-mark question. With what that means is you must have 4 paragraphs. That must consist of agree, disagree, now you can choose to agree or disagree. Nah, I disagree actually. Let's always disagree. Let's present loads of reasons. Disagree, and then your own conclusion. Okay, now this is really important because you're going to spend 20 minutes doing this. It is entirely possible that you might run out of time in the 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to suggest that you include an introduction, a really short introduction, just ahead of that. And I'm going to suggest you do that with 2 sentences. So let's have a think about the mark scheme. What is the mark scheme after from us? And I'll allow me to explain why I'm going to suggest you include an introduction. All right. So this particular question is assessed with a AO1, which is your knowledge. AO2, that's your explanation. And AO2J, that is your judgment. All right. So again, if we just split this up into level 3 and level 4, and this is all part of our success criteria. So what is this particular question looking for? I just want to clarify what I mean by level 3 and level 4. Level 3 is, that's not a grade 3, that's the quality of your answer, so it's the quality of what you write in. Level 4 is the top end of it. All right, so again, level 4 would not be grade 4. You know, if you are consistent with level 4, that means you're knocking on the door of a grade 9. So if you're getting level 4 all the way, that means you're going to get a grade 9. If you are consistent and you're getting a level 3 across the board, that means, so if you're getting level 3, you're getting basically 70% of the marks for every single question, then you're almost certainly getting a 7/8. And if you're somewhere in between, you can obviously imagine what grade you might be. Okay, so this is really important for us to understand, so we can have a think about when we're writing, we know what we need to do in order to get the top marks that we deserve. So what happens with in terms of your knowledge is, for every single paragraph you need to have 2 facts. All right. For level 4, what you need to do is you need to have 2 precise facts per para. All right, it's dead easy. All right. Obviously, again, a polite reminder: precise is names, dates, years, events, and so on. If we think about our explanation, that is 2 sentences of explanation. That is how and why. For level 4 explanation, you need to have 3 sentences. And that is your how, why, so what. And then finally, the judgment element. So this is really difficult, all right? Because what they do is it's difficult to define as an examiner. So in essence, in order to get level 3, is you need to have a conclusion, just nice and simple, a conclusion which demonstrates your opinion. Level 4 is you need to thread your conclusion or thread your evaluation throughout. And by that I mean is you need to, within your conclusion, is you need to compare your reasonings between the two. Okay? So, ladies and gents, what I'm going to suggest now is that you set a 20-minute time on your phone, and in that 20 minutes, you tell me how far do you agree with this statement that the printing press and Royal Society had the biggest impact on the development and spread of medical knowledge during the Renaissance. Righto, 20 minutes. I'll see you shortly. Okay, welcome back. So today, let's have a look at our marks. Let's have a look at mine. Let's have a look at yours, and let's self-assess and see how well we're doing, considering the success criteria here of what the question wants us to do. All right, and for me, I'm going for level 4 across the board. So let's see how well I do. And as I'm doing it, I'm going to annotate my answer with AO1, AO2, and AO2 at J. I might just put a little J instead. If it's particularly good at or precise facts, I might put an AO1 plus. Okay. I'm really conscious of my handwriting, and I'm half suspecting that you won't be able to read it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read it out to you as you're following along. Right, let's have a quick look then. So our question, just as a reminder, was the printing press and Royal Society had the biggest impact on the development and spread of medical knowledge during the Renaissance. How far do you agree? So let's go. I appreciate that the impact. I appreciate the impact that the printing press and Royal Society had on the development of medical knowledge was significant, as they shared and printed new ideas such as the works of Andreas Vesalius, William Harvey, and Thomas Sydenham. But new discoveries within the period are more significant, as they disproved inaccurate medical knowledge and stimulated progress. Right, so here technically is my introduction. So what I have done here is, let's say I run out of time and I don't have time to give my conclusion, I immediately have my opinion straight away. All right, so here is I've said that they're important, so I'm going to put a J there, I'm going to put a J there, I'm going to put a J there. All right, I really am happy with this use of the word but. You know, I've said why it's important, but I've said another reason why they might not be important. All right, so I've presented, both sides of the argument straight away, and I've really been evaluative. Okay, let's have a quick look at my first paragraph. So this is agreeing with the statement. Allow me to read it out to you. One reason why someone would agree with the statement is because of the role of the printing press and Royal Society had in developing medical knowledge. From my own knowledge, I know. So that first sentence there, that is AO2. All I've done there is I've presented the reason. So I've said why they're important. Well, they had a huge role in developing medical knowledge. All right, there's my reason. There's AO2. Let me continue. From my own knowledge, I know that the printing press created in 1440. Right, so I'm adding in here, there's AO1 plus, because I've said when it was made. Allowed books to be shared and created quicker without the influence of the Catholic Church. Right, so there's AO1 again. All right, so I've stated what was good about it. Prior to the printing press, books were produced by monks who would only write texts approved by the Catholic Church. Right, so there's AO1 there. So there is my first fact. So there's evidence 1. Let's have a quick look at evidence 2. Let's see if I've got it. Additionally, the establishment of the Royal Society in 1660, AO1, led to leading scientists and doctors of the time period meeting to discuss new medical ideas or scientific studies. Right, so there's evidence 2. So straight away, I've presented a reason, I've got 2 facts to back it up, and as you can see, plenty of AO1 and plenty of AO1 plus, with the fact that I mentioned about texts only approved by the Catholic Church. Right, now I'm looking for explanation. This led to development in new medical knowledge as the Royal Society would encourage scientists to discover new medical ideas and challenge existing inaccurate ones. Right, so there, I'm just going to put it at the bottom of, or the end of that last sentence. There's my how. How did the Royal Society and the printing press lead to development of new knowledge? Well, the fact that it would encourage them to do so. All right, that it stimulated progress because they had a place to share thoughts and thinking. As a result, the combination of the printing press led to new medical knowledge, as it was easier to share ideas without the influence of the Catholic Church. There's my why. This shows the significance of the Royal Society as they foster the environment for new medical thinking. And there is my so what. I missed out my so there. Okay, so that first paragraph is really strong. I have got AO2 where I presented the reason, plenty of my own facts here, and then I've got my how. Let me write that in here whilst I'm on this page. I've got my how, and I've got my why, and I've got my so what. Let's have a look at my second paragraph. So now I'm disagreeing with it. Okay. Alternatively, the role of individuals such as Andreas Vesalius and William Harvey had a tremendous impact on the development and spread of new medical knowledge because they disproved the works of Galen and Hippocrates. Right, so there's AO2. Okay, so I presented another concept, another idea that's possibly more or less important than the printing press and Royal Society. For example, in 1543, AO1 plus, Andreas Vesalius published The Fabric of the Human Body, AO1 plus, which identified over 300 of Galen's mistakes after he dissected the human body. Additionally, William Harvey wrote On the Motion of the Heart and the Blood, AO1 plus, in 1629, AO1 plus, which proved that the heart works as a pump and disproved the theory of the 4 humours, AO1, AO1. This led to improvements in medical knowledge as their work proved that the ideas of the ancients were incorrect and challenged the attitudes of the medieval period prior to the Renaissance, that the works of Galen and Hippocrates was the work of God. Right, so all of that there's my how. As a result, their work led to scientists and doctors like Thomas Sydenham continuing to challenge the established medical thinking, particularly after Vesalius told students to go look for themselves when he was challenged. There's my why. This shows the impact of Vesalius and Harvey as they fueled the ambitions of the Royal Society and benefited from the printing press. So what? So again, you can see my technique here. Plenty of precise facts here. I've presented a reason. 2 facts per paragraph. How, why, so what. How did Andreas Vesalius and William Harvey lead to developments? Why did they lead to developments? What's special about those 2 men? Right, let's continue on. Finally, some might argue that the Reformation had a huge impact on the development and spread of medical knowledge because of the collapse of the Catholic Church. Right, so there is my AO2. So I've presented another reason. I know that the Reformation led to the split in the Catholic Church because... sorry, let me start that again. I know that the Reformation led to the split in the Catholic Church into Catholicism and Protestantism. Prior to... So there's AO1 there. Prior to the Reformation, the Catholic Church controlled all medical thinking and taught the ideas of Galen and Hippocrates. Right, so there's AO1 again. However, the Reformation allowed new ideas to be developed as it created a culture of challenging existing thinking. Right, so there's AO1 there. And again, you can see here as I've got evidence 1 and evidence 2. This led to the development of new medical knowledge as it allowed other works of Vesalius and Harvey to happen. As a result, the reduction of the church's influence and new ideas stimulated scientists to go away and challenge existing ideas. Right, so there's my how. This shows the significance. Oh, hold on a minute. There's my how, sorry. And this is my why. This shows the significance of the Reformation for the development of new thinking, because without it, knowledge would still be under the restrictions of the Catholic Church. And there is my so what. So, again, with these paragraphs, all 3 so far, ignoring my introduction, I have presented a reason. I've got 2 facts per paragraph. I've gone how, why, so what. Right, let's have a little look at my conclusion. All right. So again, to get level 4 for my conclusion, what I need to do is I need to thread my evaluation throughout, all right? And I need to make sure it demonstrates my opinion. Let's have a quick look here. Overall, I would argue that the Reformation was the most important event for the development and spread of new medical ideas because it laid the foundations of the printing press, for the printing press, Royal Society, and the works of key individuals. So there is my judgment. I'm going to put a J in there. I appreciate that Vesalius and Harvey created the new ideas and encouraged others to do so. There's another J there. Along with the printing press sharing new ideas. But none of this would happen without the Reformation. Okay? So, if I were to go back to this page, and I'm going to struggle to fit this in, but if I were to think about scoring that, so I would go AO1, AO2, AO2J. Right, let's have a quick think then. Have I got 2 precise facts per paragraph? Absolutely, so I am level 4. Have I got 3 sentences of explanation in every paragraph? Absolutely, I am level 4 here. Have I threaded my evaluation throughout? Absolutely, so I'm level 4. That means then I am 16 out of 16. Okay? And that is a 4-mark answer. Do you want to now go back to your success criteria and consider your strengths and your scoring of your answer? And what I would do is I would just do a notable mention of SPAG up here. So how do we get 4 marks in SPAG? That sounds ridiculous, but I'm going to say capital letters. Full stops. Keywords. Paragraphs. And my rule is start with 3, and if you've got keywords in there, go up to 4. Alright? Right, so ladies and gents, thank you very much for your hard work, and I'll see you next time.